Ladies and gentlemen, the next subject is cyber situational awareness from an operational perspective. And to give that this morning is Brigadier General Christos Athanasiadis, SHAPE Director, Communications and Information Systems. The Brigadier has been the Director of Communications and Information Systems for about a year now. Before that, he was the Assistant Chief of Staff G6 at the NATO Rapid Reaction Corps, Greece before that. And he's held 3 major command appointments, one being with an electronic warfare battalion. He's also a graduate of both the Greek Joint Warfare College and the National Defence College. He's therefore ideally placed on the need to develop collective expertise in cyber situational awareness to meet and defeat the threats in cyberspace and explain how Allied Command operations have taken a synergistic approach and which leverages the expertise within both the Alliance member nations and their industries. Brigadier, please, will you take the floor?
Ambassadors, generals, distinguished colleagues from industry and academia, ladies and gentlemen, it's truly an honor for me to speak to you today at NIAS, one of NATO's premier conferences. Mr. Gisbers, thank you for inviting me today. I'm Brigadier General Athanasiadis Christos, Assistant Chief of Staff at J6 and SHAPE, stepping in today for Major General Walter Huhn, Deputy Chief of Staff SHAPE, in CIS and Cyber Directorate, who was called today at NATO HQ Brussels to represent SACEUR at a meeting with member states. My main goal today is to give you to present you our thoughts on cyber situational awareness. And I am sure that many of you have thought deeply and extensively on this topic, because I know that I'm talking in a room full of CIS and cyber experts. I hope my presentation to give you a better perspective on what I think is a very useful framework for viewing cyber situational awareness from strategic military commander's perspective. Before I go into details on cyber situational awareness, cyber CSA now on, I would like to inform you about SHAPE approach to cyber. My commander, SACEUR, has a key goal when it comes to cyber. He has tasked us to incorporate cyber into as many operational processes as possible. For the past 2 years, we have been working hard to complete this task. One of the significant milestones in making cyber operational focused is the creation of Task Force Cyber. This is a cross-functional entity which brings together various organizations from around NATO to share information. Excuse me. Task Force Cyber works within and with our operations center in the CCOMC and bridges the perceived gap between our traditional operations personnel and our cyber defenders. Additionally, over the past several years, we have incorporated cyber defense into our operational plans and into exercises. This total integration of cyber into plans and exercises was a very significant milestone for cyber at SHAPE, since these 2 items, plans and exercises, are the core operational processes at our headquarters. We are also working very closely with Allied Command Transformation and NCIA to help define a new level of training needed for our cyber defenders, from the technician level to the level of a colonel. This is a broad spectrum of course, it is a challenging endeavor. Finally, one of the big focus areas for us has been to define what cyber situational awareness means from a strategic military commander's perspective. We have spent considerable time on this topic over the past year. Many of you in the audience have formally and informally contributed to this task. Last year at NIAS, Major General Thomas Franz noted that many military theorists firmly believe that cyberspace is the 5th and newest domain of warfare co-equal with land, air, sea, and space. He went on to note that cyberspace is possibly the hardest to monitor and control. Cyber situational awareness is focused on monitor, is not focused on controlling. If I were to take a survey of everyone here about what is meant by cyber situational awareness, I'm sure I would get dozens of answers. Most of them likely be valid, because cyber situational awareness means different things to different people. For our network operators, it means ensuring firewalls and other guards are properly configured and system patches are all current. For our intelligence analysts, it means identifying the threat actors. For our operational commander staff, it means knowing how well defended are the mission networks and if there are any single points of failure. Frankly, it's a bit of a jigsaw puzzle. Each of these people are correct in their view of cyber situational awareness. If you come from an organization or a company that works in cyber, I'm sure you have seen many offices that produce and utilize a myriad of cyber situational awareness products and reports. The unfortunate fact is that what is lacking in many organizations is that there is no dedicated staff to aggregate and analyze all this data so strategic level decision makers can use it as part of their decision-making process. All too often, the development of this strategic framework is left to technicians and engineers who may not be aware of the strategic needs of the senior leaders. To be clear, cyber situational awareness is a leadership issue, and we owe the leadership a holistic view. If we look at the typical large organization, be it a commercial entity or governmental agency or an international organization such as NATO, we see that it is very likely that there are a significant numbers of reports being generated to support cyber situational awareness. These reports range from high quality to low quality, from high reliability to low reliability, from technical level to strategic level. They are produced by dedicated people who firmly believe that their reports are definitive, authoritative, and represent the cyber situational awareness view which strategic leaders need to aid their decision-making process. Very often, these pockets of cyber SA do not know that other reports supporting cyber SA are being generated somewhere else in their organization. Even in the case where some knowledgeable employees know that these other cyber SA reports exist, the task to aggregate and analyze these reports is far too complex to undertake without dedicated personnel and strategic direction on how to aggregate and analyze these myriad reports. At SAPE, we faced this exact same scenario. We discussed this issue with a number of senior decision makers internally in NATO. We discussed also with industry up to Chief Technology Officer, Chief Information Officer, and Chief Executive Officer levels. We discussed this with senior governmental officials, and we also discussed with prominent academics who have thought deeply about this tough challenge. After all discussions, we believe we have come up to a cyber situational awareness model which will meet the needs of SAPE. We believe that cyber situational awareness has several components. Each of these components is important to helping to build a fuller cyber SA picture for our senior leaders. For us, cyber situational awareness has three major components: the threats, network awareness, and mission awareness. I'd like to go into some additional information about each of these areas. For SAPE, we categorize strategic level threats into two categories: non-state actors and non-nation state actors. Nation-state actors can conduct cyber operations themselves or through actors that are state-sponsored. Non-nation state actors include criminals, activists, insiders, and terrorists. In many cases, it is difficult to tell this apart due to the increased technical sophistication and of non-nation state actors. Potential sources for this type of situational awareness include open sources, such as press reports and academic analysis of the type that the University of Toronto produces, classified intelligence produced with NATO and supplied by alliance members, and cyber situational awareness reports produced by commercial companies. I must point out that some of you may see this and say to yourselves that we miss the technical threats such as viruses, malware, ransomware, etc. But these are vectors that nation-state and non-nation-state actors may use in cyberspace, non-threat actors in and of themselves. The network awareness portion of SHAPE view of Cyber SA is technically focused. Typically, when CIS personnel talk about cyber situational awareness, this is what they focus on. But as you can see, for SHAPE, network awareness is just one component of Cyber SA. For the internal network, we believe Cyber SA entails monitoring the cyber security of the network, monitoring overall network health, as well as doing network correlation. Since NATO is an international organization, for us, being aware of major changes or incidents to the global internet is also important. An example of this would be the Heartbleed bug. Though our network defenders addressed this for our internal network, it was important for us to know how this impacted the overall global internet. Finally, for SHAPE, we would monitor our ongoing mission areas. This is an important facet of our Cyber SA, since we need to provide the necessary horizon scanning from a military perspective to the NAC, North Atlantic Council. We also need to be aware of many cyber issues related to current NATO-authorized operations that Allied Command Operations is conducting. As you have seen, SHAPE's perspective on cyber situational awareness involves multiple areas: threat actors, awareness of the network, and awareness of NATO mission from a cyber perspective. What we have found is that NATO, along with many large organizations, has many diverse reports coming in. These reports are often not analyzed from the strategic perspective. For us, the threat network awareness and mission awareness are the broad lenses that we use to help fuse a cyber situational awareness picture for Saker and his senior staff. Task Force Cyber is currently the organization entity that we are using to help analyze and fuse this information to formulate the Cyber SA. As you can appreciate, this is a complex and dynamic system that I have outlined. Continual work needs to be done in many of these areas to improve cyber situational awareness. There is ample room for our partners in the audience who are from industry and academia to assist us in developing procedures or automated tools to make our analysis and fusion job easier and quicker. This will allow us to produce the types of reports and analysis that Saker and NATO senior leadership need in order to make informed decisions. Ladies and gentlemen, with this I conclude my presentation, and I want to thank you for your patience and your attention.
Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, the Good Brigadiers are not in a position to take questions at this moment in time. So, sir, thank you very much indeed.